The platform, visual passport number 1. The movie starts when Gorek, the main character, goes to jail for him to quit smoking and read a book. But this isn't a jail like any other one. This one has 333 floors. When he arrives to jail, he ends in a cell with an old man and starts to discover how this prison works. Every intern can take one personal belonging along. You can either get there by your own choice or as a punishment for your crimes. Every cell is constituted by 2 prisoners, a couple of beds, a sink, and a WC. Also, the way they feed them is through a platform that has food in it and it stays a certain amount of time in each floor. So, as a punishment for the people that keeps food a longer time than they should, the temperature of the cell is altered. Trigamasi, who is Gorek's first cellmate, tells him that every month they change floors and partners. So when someone is at the top floor, they eat a lot and don't think about the ones below them. One night, Trigamasi told Gorek that one of the best options for the lower levels was cannibalism, because almost every day the food didn't get there. A few days later, they got into a woman going down with the platform because rumors said she was looking for her child. But it was quite impossible because there was a rule about not having childs there. Later on in the movie, Trigamasi and Gorek got together again, but in a lower floor. So he tells him that if the food didn't get to the floor in 8 days, he was going to eat him. 8 days passed, and almost no food got to their floor. So while Gorek was asleep, Trigamasi tied Gorek to his bed and starts chopping pieces of Gorek's legs so he could eat something. And right when he was going to kill him, the woman searching for his child killed him. A week later, Gorek met another woman who had cancer and wanted to live her last days there because she once was an administrator of the prison. She ends up committing suicide because her dog was killed. But the few time he had with her, he learned that the main reason she was there is because she wanted to change the mind of the people had about only thinking about themselves with the food so it could get to the last floor. Almost at the end of the movie, Gorek and another soulmate got into the mission of getting the food to the last floor. So they jumped right into the platform and only letting the people eat what they needed to survive. Almost at the end, his friend died. So he had to do it by himself. And at the last floor, he found a surprise he would never imagine. This movie could be interpreted as an example of modern society and economy, where only a few people, the top ones, get all what they want and need, in this case is the food, while the other ones from the middle and bottom floors struggle to survive. But when presented the opportunity, they only think on themselves. Also, this horror drama movie wants us to think about how there are people in the world that they want to make a change, but there is always this opposite force that doesn't listen to you and only thinks what they want. Trigamasi is the literal incarnation of the force we were talking. He's a person that only thinks in himself and doesn't care about the others. For example, there is a part where he pees into the cells below, and Gorek asks him, why did he do that? In response, Trigamasi said that he needed to treat the people below bad because when they got a higher floor than them, they were going to do the same. A perfect example of the human greed and selfishness about people that have fewer things than us and we treat them as garbage. So this guides us to the reflection about that we need and have to treat people how we would like to be treated, because we don't know when the tables can turn around. this movie was a low budget movie because Netflix thought it wasn't going to be good. Actually, the director of this movie describes it as a metaphor of the inequality in the world and how he sees this movie like a vertical prison. His main objective in this movie was to make the people watching it make a reflection about social injustice, mainly economic injustice. Galder, who is the director, says that from his point of view, we live in a society where we are constantly exposed to better lives than ours. So that's also something he wanted to tell us with this movie. In this shot, we can subtract that the subject that the director is trying to portray is the desperation of Miharu while she is going down the floors on top of the platform searching for his daughter. We can also assume that she's already in the middle bottom floors because the food leftovers are too many and we can easily see all the bones from the chicken and fish and all the fruits that are already eaten. The content is a really deep meaning here. The director is trying to make us have a reflection about how we see the people below us, but also how people can change in order to complete a mission. In this case, Miharu's mission is to find his daughter and she's willingly going down the floors with less and less food, so this is a reference of how hard is leaving the bottom floors. The context of the shot is that at the beginning of the movie, we can learn about how different is the situation for the people in the top floors to the ones in the middle floors and ending in the bottom floors. The line in this shot is clearly from Miharu to the platform, although it could be almost considered as non-existent or implied lines because it only suggests that the eye movement is from Miharu to the platform. But also there are some actual lines defining the platform and the pillow. Also, the shape in this frame are mainly organic here because of the two persons that are there and all the food that is in the platform. In this scene, as in all the movie, there's a lot of value because it's a closed scenario. We can watch it going from the left to the right, from a very dark value to a light value. So it's in the whole shot. The palette of colors is dark and wants to express emotion like despair and sadness because of what Miharu is trying to make, that is find his daughter. Also, the textures in this shot is that there is actual texture because you can really identify everything like the pillow and mainly the food in the platform. By last, we are going to talk about the 10 principles of designs in this shot. There's not a lot of balance because the image is more bright and there's more striking thing to the eye in the right side because you can see the people and it gets your eye attention. The repetition in this shot is the food and how it's accommodated. Also, there's a subcategory that is called rhythm, and we can see that in the clothes that the image have. Then, the proximity of the elements is more than obvious because of how the food is placed, but also we can see that the platform is lower, and because of how is Miharu looking up, we can assume it's far. The contrast of this scene is mainly with Miharu's suit and the platform food, because you can see how they combine, and also the other contrast is how the shades of the lights are divided in each side of the room. We can clearly see the proportion of the persons and the food in the platform. So also we can see that the scale of the same things. The main focus and emphasis of this scene is in Miharu and the platform, because the whole drama of these sequences is Miharu's searching for his daughter. There's no harmony in these shots, because everything is in disorder and dirty. We can't assume the direction or movement of the platform by only watching this shot, because by the way she's looking up, it could mean she's either going up or going down. Last but not least, the depth of the floor. We can assume it because of the shadows in the room, but also because of how Miharu is looking up. In the first 3 weeks, I have learned that there are a lot of different forms to describe anything, and also how we can know the cultural or social background of anything. I'm applying this in how I'm trying to create a logo for one of my entrepreneurship ideas, for the image to have a bigger impact for the public. Also, I have a change in how I see the images and movies, because now I'm questioning why it was filmed or painted, but also I'm questioning myself about the background of the director or painter, so I could know if there's like a secret meaning to the movie or painting.